My buddy. Hey guys, come on in, come on in. We're about to get started. 7 p.m. Got a few more minutes. Hi, Ivory. I can't see you, but you can see me. I miss seeing your pretty face. I'm talking about alimony and child support today. So you know all about that all too well. But you are free to stick around for sure. In the midst of COVID-19, what are folks supposed to do when they can't pay? So that's what we'll be chatting about tonight. So come on in, Facebook. Come on in. It's almost 7. Is that a fly? Oh. I hope everyone's staying in the house. I hope everyone is staying safe. If you do have to go out, I hope that you're wearing a mask. I hope that you are protecting yourself at all costs. My Black folks, my melanin drenched folks, I hope if you are in Atlanta that you don't become part of their experiment and you are staying home. Anyways, I think this fly is going to be annoying me. Anyways, hello, the time is 7 p.m. and my name is Attorney Judith DeLuce Montgomery. And so I wanted to come on today to chat with folks about child support and alimony. Ivory has a question. Oh, no, she wants to hear about how Haitian families are being affected at this time. In Haiti or in the United States, Ivory specifically? Is there a specific area, U.S. or specifically in Haiti? Let me know. I'll answer that for you. All right. So let's chat, guys. So let me tell you a little bit about some background. So we'll be having a co-counsel. My co-counsel will be coming in from time to time, and she will be barking. So please disregard. Anywho, what we want to talk about today is here culturally. Okay. That's a good question, Ivory. It's off topic, but I'll chat about it. So I can't speak for everyone. I have been keeping up with what's been going on in Haiti. The government tried to take kind of some early make some early interventions into keeping folks out of Haiti. So they shut down the borders relatively quickly several weeks ago and stopped flights from coming in to the United States. So the numbers, from my understanding, are low in Haiti, but I think the last time I checked, there were 62, I think, that had been infected and passed away. Here in the United States, I think that they are addressing it the way they see everyone else addressing it in America. And so, you know, a lot of Haitians are dying from this. But, you know, as you know, I think it goes a little bit deeper. And I think it affects all folks, you know, who don't pay attention to their health, who have pre-existing conditions, you know, diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol. That's something that we deal with in, I guess, if you're Black or Black American or Black, period. So that's something that we're seeing. And so because of those underlying issues, I think that they are being attacked. And so I'm getting news every single day that folks are passing away because of COVID-19 in the Haitian community. So I am hearing that. So, but we're trying to, you know, wear a mask and be protected. Stay home if you can. It's a little bit harder. You know, there's a very large population in New York, so those folks are locked down. A lot of large population in New Jersey, so they're locked down. Florida, a little bit different, right? And so, but they're dealing with it, I think, the way everyone else is dealing with it here, to the best of their ability. And the folks who don't want to pay attention or heed the warning, unfortunately, they're having to deal with that issue. So thanks for asking. I appreciate it. Okay, so let's get into child support and alimony, guys. So the first question that I have received is, will I receive my stimulus check if I owe child support? And interestingly, so just to give you some background, so the United States Congress added a number of exemptions concerning the stimulus rebate payments that they were giving out within the CARE Act. So at the time, they did not exempt child support arrears, right? However, they didn't put that into the CARE Act. However, states, obviously, if you owe money, they are able, my understanding is if you owe more than $500 in child support, then the federal law requires that the stimulus rebate payment be intercepted up to a total amount that is owed, and that payment will be applied to the parent's child support case and sent to the party that is owed that child support. So the answer is you may not get all of it if it is less than $1,200, but obviously if you owe more than $1,200 in child support, then you are probably not going to see that stimulus check at all. Okay, so the next concern, and I think is the biggest concern for people, has been, am I required to pay child support and alimony in the midst of this pandemic during COVID-19, right? Well, the answer is yes. You still have to pay child support and alimony. Obviously, folks, we are aware that a lot of folks have been affected by this. There's really not too many people that haven't been affected by COVID-19, whether your hours have been cut or you have been laid off completely, or you've been terminated, right? And so what we know is, just to give you guys some context, if you're talking about the Great Depression, during the Great Depression, 22.4 million folks were unemployed during that time. Well, in the past 6 weeks, 22 million Americans have filed for unemployment. Just to put those numbers into context, just how serious this situation is in the United States. And so with that, we can imagine everyone is going to be impacted in some way or the other. So that means that hi, Stacy, thanks for joining. I'll answer that question towards the end. Let me finish up with the child support questions. So, and with the understanding that you are not able to work, which means that your finances have been affected and you cannot pay your rent or your mortgage or even buy groceries possibly. So what will happen is that what you have to understand is the fact that you can't pay what you're ordered to pay. The other person, let's talk about primary versus non-custodial parent, right? So the primary caregiver really depends on that child support and alimony. And so they may pay bills with that. They may pay their rent, they may pay their mortgage, they may pay utilities. And so understand that it doesn't just affect you, what's happening, but it also affects, the minor child and the custodial parent. And so what Georgia courts, specifically Superior Court, because that is where domestic matters are handled, those courts have indicated that everything is to remain status quo in the state of Georgia. That means that if you have a child support order, an alimony, a final divorce decree that addresses those issues, then those orders are to remain intact. Okay. And so what that essentially means is that You are not to deviate from the order that the courts have signed. And so if there is a child support order, you are still required to pay child support under that order. If there is also an alimony order attached to that, then you are still required to maintain your alimony payments. Obviously, okay, well, that's great. Well, I'm just not going to pay it because I just don't have it. Withholding the payment is not the way to go about it. What you want to do is you want to first and foremost reach out to that other party, right? That other parent, that other party, and let them know what is going on within your situation, that you have been laid off, that you have had your hours cut, that you have been terminated. You're applying for unemployment that hasn't come in yet. The good thing about unemployment, and we're going to get to that in a second, is that you're getting a little bit more than you would usually get. Obviously, it's going to be limited in how many weeks you're going to get unemployment, but you are going to be able to get a more substantive amount. So with that being said, the first thing that you need to do is communicate. That's going to be the first thing that you want to do, is communicate with that other party and let them know that you're having a financial situation and that you're not able to pay all of the money owed. Maybe you can't pay all of the money owed, but maybe you can pay a portion of it in good faith. And so if you can do that, that would be great. Okay, let's say you can't pay any of it at all. If you can't pay any of it at all, and this gnat or whatever this is, I don't know what this is that's annoying me today, but I do have my door open, so that's my fault. But anyways, if you're unable to pay at all, you've communicated with them. The next thing that you're going to want to do is reach out to your attorney, right? So you're going to want to reach out to your attorney and let them know, listen, this is what's going on in my situation, and I am unable to pay what is ordered or required by the court. So now what's going to happen? So obviously, the protection that you will want to take is to consider filing what's called a modification. Now, under a divorce decree, there are certain things that can be modified. Not everything in a divorce decree can be modified, but child support and alimony, sometimes alimony can be modified if you didn't agree to waive your rights. But if it is modifiable under the divorce decree, then you are in a position to see if you can file a modification. Well, as you know, at this time, courts are still open, but they are not open to the public. Hi, Lucky Ye 21 Charms. Thanks for joining. So if, as you know, the courts are not open to the public at this time. And so if you do need to file a modification of child support or alimony, then you can go ahead and attempt to file one. Now, how quickly are you going to be able to get into court? That is going to be the question, because at this time, the courts are probably working on a scaled down, limited staff. They are only taking essential matters, correct? And so that would probably be criminal matters are the things that they are addressing. And so civil matters are not really taking precedence. If you were already not in the pipeline, already had a court hearing, then it's going to probably be very difficult for you to get onto the court's calendar right now to modify in this situation. But if you are able to, getting that filing in as soon as possible does protect you for when the time comes. And you do have to go to court, and courts do completely reopen. And you can say, listen, as soon as something happened, I reached out to the other party. I let them know. In fear of them filing a contempt action against me, I went ahead and I filed a modification for alimony and child support. Again, only if alimony is modifiable. So you'll want to look at your final divorce decree and make sure that that is an option that you have. Okay, so now the thing that you have to understand is that a lot of people are like, well, I've lost my job. My income has been substantially affected. So now I can't pay this order. Well, be clear that support payments are based on your income, and they are also based on your assets at the time of the agreement is set. Right? So typically it's hard to alter unless you can show that there's been a material change in your ability to keep paying. So Okay, you have lost your job, but do you have stocks? Do you still have bonds? Obviously with what's going on right now in the economy, there's such a fluctuation in the market. A lot of my clients have been affected. A lot of folks have been trying to pull their money out of the market to save whatever that they have left. And other people have been saying, listen, I'm going to go ahead and take the hit. And then the hope is that what we know about the market is that it's cyclical and that it'll rebound. And so a lot of folks are saying, I'm just going to wait. But so the courts are going to look to see what you have in assets. Do you have a car? Do you have houses? Do you have properties? Is there any account that can be liquidated to help you continue to fall in line with the order that the court did sign? So you want to look at that, right? So it's not just going to be based on the fact that I've been laid off for 6 weeks or I've been laid off for 3 weeks, especially, a lot of companies. I can speak specifically for the state of Georgia. As we know, for the most part, the state of Georgia will be opening, has opened in a large capacity. I believe it's supposed to really open, I believe, May 1st, but I think that there were already procedures in place for it to be reopened on the 27th of April. And so a lot of folks are getting back to work, okay? And so with them getting back to work, and then also because of the child support, I'm sorry, not the child support, but the unemployment that I was talking about, right? So unemployment, there's a base amount that's given. In addition to the base amount, the federal government has stepped in and has included an additional $600 a week on top of what I believe is $330 or $360 in the state of Georgia. So folks who would usually get $360 a week have been getting, you do the math. I'm not a mathematician, but I think it's about $960 a week that folks are getting in unemployment. I think that the big issue now is that unemployment is so inundated. I think that they are behind in processing those requests. But I do know that if you have submitted your request for unemployment and it has been approved or accepted, then you will be paid for every week that you logged in and recertified that you were unemployed or your hours were cut. So you will still get that money. So if you are getting, let's say, $960 times 4, that's close to $4,000 a month. And so if you have been getting that, then you're in a situation where you're still able to provide support in line with your order, because you have to understand that with schools being closed, these parents are now even more so overwhelmed in trying to care and feed the children that live with them. And so they greatly depend on the support that the non-custodial parent provides. So it's so important that you try to maintain and continue to pay that support as much as possible. So a lot of folks are saying, well, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? I don't have the money. I can't get a stimulus check, right? Either because I'm an immigrant or I'm married to an immigrant or I owe child support arrears. So I'm not getting the stimulus. And even if I did get a stimulus check, what is $1,200 going to do when my rent is $2,000 or my mortgage is $2,500, right? So that becomes a very good question that you have to figure out, because all you can do is what you can do. I had a client that contacted us today and said, listen, I can't pay the $1,000 that I had agreed to pay because my contract has been canceled. And so that's happening to a lot of people out there. And so if you had a job where it's been terminated or canceled or laid off, then hey, you don't have it. But the client said, listen, I have $200. Should I pay what I can pay? And my response was, yes, pay what you can pay, because that shows that you were trying to maintain the order, that you wanted to comply, that you were not willfully disregarding the child support order or the alimony order, that you really did want to comply, you just didn't have the funds to, but in good faith, you provided the funds to assist in some sort of way. So that is really good, right? So the next question is, how quickly can I change my current child support order? So as I was saying earlier, the courts are kind of overwhelmed right now, and that they are taking cases that are already in their pipeline. New cases are being filed every day. Now, I want that to be clear. Cases are getting filed every day, but the problem is you're probably not going to be able to get into court as quickly as you would like to, just because they are on a limited staff, and just because they are not open to the public right now. Now, the good thing that I can say is that a lot of the cases that I have been handling, we have been able to do hearings. We have been able to do hearings remotely, which has been amazing, right? So we've been able to do Zoom hearings from home, which is really a game changer. I'm just going to be very honest with you. I've never been happier to not have to drive from Fulton County to DeKalb County to Gwinnett County to Cobb County to Clayton County to Douglas County. It has been a welcome respite to be able to do hearings remotely. And so I'm sure Ivory that's on can attest to that. It's kind of been a breath of fresh air to not have to be running in the Atlanta streets from courthouse to courthouse doing hearings, and being able to do them remotely. And I think that that's been a welcome respite for our clients as well, because, truth be told, I can tell you that most of my clients don't want to go to court. They kind of want me to handle the case. They don't want me to go to court at all. They would rather I go to court, but that's not the way that it works, right? So you have to attend your own court hearing. I think that's a question that a lot of people have, and they don't realize once you hire an attorney, you still have to show up to court. And so but being able to do it from the comfort of your own home, that makes things a little bit easier, I believe, for a lot of people, right? So we talked about, I believe there was the question about unemployment and court-ordered child support. Listen, excuse me. What you have to realize is that if you're getting $3,900 a month in unemployment, then you're well within your means at that point in time to be able to pay your bills and also maintain your court-ordered child support. So please be clear, that money can be used to pay your order. It absolutely can be used. And so you want to pay attention to obviously what's going on, because we're getting developments every day. Things are changing, right? So you have to be paying attention to both the state and federal level regarding unemployment, because our understanding is that the $600 a week is capped at 8 weeks. After 8 weeks, the federal government will not be able to provide any additional funding. And so it will go back to the $360 a week. And again, don't quote me on that. But my understanding, I haven't worked for the Georgia Department of Labor in about 10 years now, I believe. And so, but when I did work there, as a hearing officer for unemployment, at that time, the amount that was given was $330 a week. I do believe a few years after that, it did go up to $360 a week. And so just to be clear, the $600 that you would get and are entitled to would only be good for 8 weeks. After that, it would be back to the states, and it would only be the $330, $360 that Georgia pays. And so I want to be very specific that if you are not in the state of Georgia and you are listening to this recording, that I am specifically referring to Georgia law, to Georgia unemployment, to orders coming from Georgia Superior Court, or Georgia Supreme Court. So I just want to be clear with you when I'm referencing certain things that it is Georgia specific. Now, the good thing about child support and alimony and kind of domestic, the domestic area of law, the good thing is that it's not too much of a departure in other states. So there's a lot of what I'm saying that may play into what is allowed or written into statute for your state, but I just want to make it clear to you that it may not be exactly the same. So you definitely want to speak with an attorney in your state. But in this state of Georgia, this is what is going on today. And so the other thing is updating the court order child support during the COVID-19 pandemic. So if you have experienced a loss of income and it's going to affect your current order and it's going to impact your ability to pay, then you should look into contacting an attorney and filing a petition for modification, and then with providing detailed information. And detailed information means that you have gotten a separation notice from your employer, you have gotten some sort of documentation that shows that your hours were cut, or you've been terminated, or you've been laid off. There is something that the employer is required to complete. In the state of Georgia, specifically, employers have been notified that they are required to apply for unemployment on behalf of their employees. If those employees are being furloughed, obviously without pay, or if their hours are being cut completely, it is requiring that you file if you're an employer. So if you have an employer, they should either be providing you with some documentation or they should be completing the unemployment petition on your behalf. And so you will definitely want to look into that, because you're going to have to provide your attorney with documentation to show proof. And I would say that I think that it would be wise for you to also send that documentation to the other parent, because sometimes you may say, I've lost my job or my hours have been cut, and maybe you really don't have a very good co-parenting relationship with that other parent. And so if that is the situation, then you definitely want to provide them with documentation and say, listen, this is what's going on. Here is the proof to let you know that I have been laid off, but I have applied for unemployment. I will be trying to give something to assist, because I know that, the child has to eat. They have to have somewhere to live. If they can be placed into extracurricular activities, which I don't believe that's even being done at this time. So, but if there's a daycare that is open and that other parent has to work, please take that into consideration, that you're not the only one that's been affected by COVID-19, that other party is also being affected by COVID-19, and that they depend on that alimony and they depend on that child support. So please be sure to stay in contact with them, be upfront with them, provide support and assistance where you can. This is not a part of this session here today, but I just want to make it clear that when it relates to domestic orders, if there is visitation in place, that is to remain status quo as the child support order, as is the alimony order. So please do not deviate from that order, because it's just going to cause chaos and confusion that you really don't need. You don't need the police being called. Please stay active and present in a child's life. This is not the time to pass the buck and not visit with your child, not exercise your visitation on the weekends that you're supposed to be exercising your visitation with your child. Everything is to remain status quo. So please be sure to maintain that. And so just to follow up on what I stated, will I receive my stimulus check if I owe child support? Probably not. If it's less than $1,200, they will take up to the portion that is owed, and they will send you the difference. If you owe more than $1,200 in child support, then no, you're not going to see that stimulus check at all. Am I required to pay child support and alimony during this pandemic? The answer is yes, you are, because the orders of the court remain status quo. So you do not get to say, I don't have to pay, because actually you do. Now, if you cannot pay, then that's a different situation. So at that point in time, you'll have to speak with the other party, notify them quickly, and then also try to work out a payment agreement with them. Maybe you two can come to some agreement where you don't even have to think about attorneys or think about the courts, and see if you can work it out yourselves, because a lot of folks have been cut from work, but work is rebounding. The hope is that the economy is going to start moving again. And so the hope is that folks will be back to work sooner rather than later. And so if you can work something out with that other party, that would be the best thing to do, because you will have to pay an attorney to do it, right? And so a lot of folks don't like paying attorneys. So if you can work it out yourselves, that's always the best route to go. But if not, we are here. My firm specifically is here. The information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Atlanta the website is www.atlfamilyimmigrationlaw.com. This is attorney Judith DeLuce Montgomery with the Atlanta Family and Immigration Law firm, and our office number is 678-601-5580. I did want to follow up because Stacy Gregory asked a question. There was a question asked at the beginning, and I answered it as it relates to how Haitians are dealing with the pandemic. And so I just wanted to follow up and answer that question. What are they doing to help African American and the Haitian community regarding health issues and the death rate, et cetera? I cannot answer that, Stacy. I practice family and immigration and landlord-tenant law. So what I can tell you, and what I'm telling everybody, is that if you live in Atlanta Metro or in the state of Georgia, my understanding is it has reopened. If you are African American or Black, this probably is not the time for you to be stepping out and being out, because you're not going to be protected. The healthcare system is saturated and inundated. And so this is not really the time for folks to be going out if they don't need to be. So this is not the time to be going bowling. This is not the time to be getting your nails and hair done. I know my hair looks nice. I did get it done before this happened. And I just want to show you guys that my nails have not been done in over 2 months now. And I want to get them done, but I value my life a little bit more. And so I'm going to wait until it is safe for us to come out. So Stacy, I do not have an answer to your question. What is being done? I would hope that more would be done, but it doesn't appear that folks are interested in doing what's right. I think that they are doing what's best for their pockets, and that's unfortunate. So with that being said, guys, thank you. That is my time today. I hope that the information that I provided was helpful to everybody, and I hope that you guys will tune in next week. You guys let me know. I'm going to have a special guest on next week talking about specifically what is going on with the market and the sale of houses and equities in your home. And so you'll definitely want to tune in for those segments. All right. Until next time, guys, have a good one.